Hey, paisans, the time has come. On the air since 2009, the independently produced, non-FCC compliant champ of video game talk podcasting. Here comes Tiger Claw Radio. Here's your host, Critical Failure.
Welcome everybody to Tiger Claw Radio. I'm your host, Critical Failure. What a week it's been. It's the end of the first week of June. My goodness.
Wonderful success.
We've got Steam sales just on the horizon. We've got Electronic Arts, I guess, is throwing in the towel with Origin. We've got Nintendo doing their thing, and we've got some tracks for the Game Boy because I had a good time doing that last week. We're gonna do it again this week. We'll play some classic Game Boy OST songs, and you can try and figure out where they're from and test your knowledge. And we'll talk about some video games. I got Junior here with me, so let's go ahead and get the show started. Just like last time, we're going to start easy. It couldn't be easier than this, okay? This is a Game Boy game that anybody who owned a Game Boy owned this one. So we'll all say it together. Play along. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Stick with us. Oh boy, what memories that one unlocks. Of course, let's all say it together. That's the Cerulean City song from the original Pokemon. See, so I got Pokemon Blue back when it was a new thing. Pokemon Blue was the one I got in box from Toys R Us. And my older brother got Red. So I was lucky enough. I was in a situation where I had one, and then I had a sibling who had the other in the house, which was great. Oh my goodness. I really miss that early generation of Pokemon. I wouldn't say I miss it because I think it's better, but I miss it because I was the right age when Pokemon Blue came out, Pokemon Blue and Red. I was the right age, and I had a great time with it. I remember link cables coming out of nowhere. Everybody had it at school. It's funny because before that game came out, and I know I've told this story in the air many times, but you'll have to stick with me because it's Game Boy has come up in the last couple episodes, and I'm quite fond of the Game Boy. Prior to Pokemon coming out, I remember talking to people who had Game Boy and trying to make arrangements to play Tetris over a link cable. I couldn't do it. Either they didn't have Tetris, or nobody had a link cable, or something. All of the elements required to put together a LAN, which is essentially what you're doing with a Game Boy and a link cable, to put together a LAN and play multiplayer, I couldn't make it work. In fact, the only way I was able to play a multiplayer game on anything that wasn't Pokemon on the original Game Boy was, at one point, I owned a couple of Game Boys myself and a link cable, and then a couple of copies of a couple of games. That's the only way I was able to do it. Other than that, when Pokemon came out, link cables were everywhere. Link cables, and people had them and stuff, and it was a really good time. It's a game, I mean, Pokemon's one of the few games where it's like the iterations that came out later in the series all made rational improvements on it that made sense, and it got a little better every single time a new game came out. Of course, there were exceptions, small exceptions, features didn't like. There were games that may or may not have been considered standout titles, whatever. But proof is in the pudding, man. Go back to that first title and try and play it now. Yes, it's nostalgic. Yes, it's still an awesome game. But you're going to get an awful tired of running around in the first half of the game before you get the bicycle. Oh, man, that's something I'm glad they fixed later on. So Pokemon Blue. Awesome, awesome game. Love me some Pokemon Blue. So let's talk about Steam. I have been playing Steam games off and on, as I do. I still have been playing Saints Row, although still on Saints Row 3. I gotta say, my Saints Row craze has kind of died down a little bit. Played all the way through Saints Row 2. I played Saints Row 3 for not quite 50 hours. I think it was like 48, 49 hours I put into it. And then I just started to slow down. Not that there was anything wrong with the game, I just kind of started to drift on to other things, as I often do. Specifically Terraria. Terraria's new update that came out. How long ago did Terraria's update come out?
I think maybe 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks? Yeah, that sounds about right. Middle of May, something like that. And we're at the end of the first week of June. So, yeah, the Terraria update has been really, really good. Specifically, I started a new mode, a guy in the journey mode in Terraria. It's a new mode they added. The idea is every item, it's basically like Terraria with cheats enabled. Every item that you find, if you get a certain amount of them, then you can copy them infinitely, right? Yeah, so it's I'm able to have like a chill out game and kind of power through some of the stuff that's really irritating. Like it solves a lot of the inventory issues that Terraria has. And that's been really fun, man. I actually, usually when I play a game with my kids, I just play it with my kids, and that's all. Terraria is one of a handful of exceptions. Other exceptions are the idle games, because Junior and I play the idle games, and I like to play those on my own. And then Trackmania is the only other one I can think of. But yeah, it's a good game. If you don't have Terraria, then check it out, because it became the number 4 played Steam game of all time, and it's still after 413 hours is a game that I enjoy. It might eclipse Gary's Mod as my number 1 Steam game. It might. I don't know if it will or not. Gary's Mod was the defining game of my college years, so we'll see. But you know, it's been a good time. I am going to cruise over to my Steam profile because I want to see. I tried a couple other games, but they're not coming to me off the top of my head. Yep, my last 3 played games were Terraria, which I played earlier this evening. Probably about maybe 20 minutes before going on the air. Maybe a little longer. I don't know. Territory Idol and NGU Idol. Which, darned if those idle games aren't shooting to the top of my most played games list as well. Oh, yes. And I tried Arx Fatalis, which is an old classic game that our good buddy the Gaming Beast told me about. Booted it up, gave it a try. I even put in the source port, which is called Arx Libertatis, something like that. kind of modernizes the engine. It's not bad. It's not bad. I didn't play it much. I just kind of gave it a test spin. You start out in like a prison, and I did not escape the prison. You try and escape the prison, and the first guy that you actually have to fight, you pick up a bone so that you can like try and club him to death. And he just wiped the floor with me. Okay? So now typically I would say, oh, well, I just died to the first guy. Let's start it again. The problem is that comes right after like a lengthy character creation, and I didn't save. So I'm going to have to go through character creation again, which is going to suck. And I don't know if maybe I made some sort of mistake in character creation, because I've heard it compared to Morrowind, right, Sean? Is that fair? You said this is like sort of like a Morrowind type game, but not quite. So I want to make sure I'm not like creating my character with the wrong points going in the wrong area, and then essentially just losing the game right from the beginning before I even get started. Because I know that's a thing you can do in Morrowind. But Arx Fatalis, that's the game I played. And it is available on Steam. It usually goes on sale. When I was shopping for it, I was able to pick it up for $1.25, and it was the kind of thing where like I saw it for that price many times. So that's the game. Also, I can see I did in fact hit the 50-hour mark in Saints Row 3. Awesome game. I never did bother with the remastered version, but yeah, it's good. It's good. What else? I think that's about it, because now when I scroll down past that, I'm seeing like the games my kids played last week when they had like their game time. They come up for like kids club in my office, where we boot up my laptop, and then we boot up the main computer, the Panzer, and they usually play like a LAN in Terraria, or sometimes they play the Bloons TD games, Bloons TD 5 and 6. Those are pretty good. They like their tower defense, especially with monkeys popping balloons, so I'm all for that. Yeah, so it's been a good time. All right, how are we doing now? 12 minutes and 15 seconds in? Okay. Okay, since we're on the topic of Steam, I'm going to steer this back to Game Boy in a second, but there's been a little bit of news in the Steam front. A couple weeks back, you guys heard me talk about the Command & Conquer Remastered collection. Command & Conquer, the original Command & Conquer from way back in the day, it got a remastered edition, $20 on Steam, and I'm looking at the store page now. It looks great, but it's more than just that. I mean, this is it didn't occur to me when they were advertising it, but this is an Electronic Arts game, and it's not. They didn't push this out exclusively on Origin. It's on Steam. So the day it came out, it's not there anymore, but the day it came out, there was a big banner on the Steam front main page saying that Electronic Arts games were coming back to Steam. And that's a big deal. I mean, we had the Electronic Arts games were on Steam when I first got into Steam, right? That's when you could get The Sims 3 on Steam, when Sims 3 expansion packs were still coming out brand new. All that stuff's still on there, but then like Sims 4 was Origin exclusive. So does that mean we're gonna get Sims 4 on Steam? What else? I guess I have The Sims 2 on Origin also, but I'm thinking about it now as I'm saying this, and the only things I have on Origin that I care about are The Sims 2 and 4. And I also have the Command & Conquer collection, which now I guess I just want to get the remastered version because it actually looks worthwhile. I don't know. I'm interested to see, but they're saying that Electronic Arts is making a comeback to Steam, which would be good. You know, that is I usually don't get to say these words, but that is a pro-consumer choice from Electronic Arts. So yeah, I'm behind them 100%. Yeah, here we go. Play the best of EA starting now. Let me see if there's anything else worth mentioning. A lot of stuff that like was here already. Burnout Paradise, I have that in my Steam collection. Crisis, I guess I never did get the first Crisis. Dragon Age Origins, Jade Empire, most of the stuff I have. I don't know. I guess that doesn't mean they're adding new Electronic Arts games. That just means, hey, buy this stuff from us. Weird. Yeah, weird. We existed. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd have to do some more reading, but it would be cool to see The Sims 4 added to Steam. Or who knows? Over on the Origin app, they have a lot of the old classic PC games, the kind of things you would find on GOG. But they have certain ones that never made it to Steam. Like you can get Ultima Underground 1 and 2. You can get that on Origins. You can get Populous. That never made it out on Steam. Did it? I don't think it did. I'm gonna try looking it up right now. How do you spell Populous? Populous. Populous. I got a red underline.
Here's how you spell populous. At least the way you spell it, wrong.
Okay. So Populous is apparently a game that doesn't exist because I can get it. It's giving me a red underline, like I'm spelling it wrong, but it's not telling me any suggestions on how to fix it. It's just like, hey man, this is wrong. I know because I'm a computer. You're spelling it wrong, son.
Excuse me, but you're the one who's spelling it wrong.
Yeah. So that is the wave of Electronic Arts games, I guess. I'm expecting to see the Steam sale for summer coming soon. I didn't bother to look up when the starting date was, but we are now in June, and we already saw it happen on GOG. So it can't be too much further away. I'm looking at what's on sale right now already, and there's some good stuff. I mean, Resident Evil 3 is on sale, right? The Resident Evil 3, the remake, that just came. It seems like it just came out, like a few months ago. It's not a big sale, but it's $40 now instead of $60, which that's pretty cool. Anything else good in my wish list that's on sale? Not really. Frog Demon is $1. I've been putting that off a little bit. I could get Bejeweled 2, I suppose.
Hello.
Tenta Shooter. Sound like my shmups. That's cool. We've got the Betrayal Collection. Nothing really to speak of.
Excuse me.
All right, you got to stop doing that, okay? Thank you very much.
That was an accident, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. All right, let's see here. Oh, I got it. All right, so we're almost 17 minutes in. Let's do another track from the Game Boy. Okay, so let's see. Hold on a second. Where we go? Yes, here we go. So we did the easy one. I like to ramp up the difficulty just a little bit. Okay, this next one is one I remember more from the NES, but apparently it did get a Game Boy release, and the soundtrack sounds very, very true to the original. So see if you can place this one. Stick with us. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. right, come on. I know you guys are shouting at your MP3 players and your phones or whatever it is you're listening to this on. Shadowgate, right? Come on now. That's Shadowgate. It's not something you would typically think of as a Game Boy track, but sure enough, there's a Shadowgate Classic release for the Game Boy Color. I feel like I should have known about that already, but I guess I just didn't. I don't know. Super cool, and I love Shadowgate. Awesome game. There was only like a handful of really good point-and-click games on consoles in those early years. There were a couple. I'm not going to say there weren't any, but there was only a few. Shadowgate was one of the really, really, really good ones. It was like Shadowgate. Shadowgate was one of 3, right, on the NES, because there was Uninvited. There was also Deja Vu. So that's 3, but then there was also Maniac Mansion, and that's really it. Those are the only point-and-click games I can think of. What's up, kiddo?
Sometimes your sarcasm is uninvited.
I see what you did there. You ever played Uninvited?
No.
No. I'll have to load it up on an emulator or something so you can play it, and you can tell us what you think the next week. I tried it once. It's supposed to be like a point-and-click kind of game where it's an adventure, and you kind of click on things and take this object and try and use it with that object to solve the puzzle. And I couldn't get anywhere in it. It was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just bad, I guess, but Shadowgate, I was able to get really far before I got stuck. Uninvited, I got stuck like right away.
I'm willing to bet you are bad.
This is what it's like to have children, everybody.
Yup.
All right. So that was our second track. So what are we doing? We're 22 minutes in. Let's take a second to thank the sponsors. This is a Patreon-sponsored program. These guys, they give of their resources to make sure we can come back every single week. And by the way, last week I put the show out and it went up for the for the sponsors, and I was like, all right, I'm good. I'll put the rest thing up on Monday. Monday came and went, and I completely forgot about it, so it didn't go up until Thursday that last week. So my sincere apologies to the rest of everybody out there for the late episode. I will try not to let that happen again. But to these individuals, I can offer early access to the show. As soon as it gets done, I put it up for them, and then I also read their names off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen. They are Hemrock, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Dorabka, Konstantin Kelman, and Eric Controller. Thank you guys very much for your support, and I hope you guys are enjoying the party. Now, I had been doing some supporter-exclusive gameplay of PS1 games, but it's been a while since I did that. Lately, I've been stuck with the PS1. I'm playing the Japanese version of Gran Turismo. Now, you've heard me in the past talk about I went on a buying spree of Japanese PS1 games, and I ordered some gorgeous games. Oh my gosh, gorgeous games. And probably like, I don't know, probably like 15 games or more. Lots of like killer games for very, very cheap prices. I've done the list on the air, okay? A lot of RPGs that I can play just because I've played them so many times. Some pachinko games, a lot of games, okay? So what happened was, of all of those games that I ordered, I only actually got 2. And they were Gran Turismo, the Japanese version of Gran Turismo, and one was a FIFA game. I don't have it in front of me, so I couldn't tell you exactly what the title was, but it's a soccer game. So as it turns out, the Japanese version of Gran Turismo, the original Gran Turismo, is very playable. Even the simulation mode where you're like buying cars and buying parts for it and stuff, most of that is in English, which I was shocked by. So that has been super, super cool. And the reason I bring all this up was because just yesterday, or 2 days ago, maybe, in the last couple of days, my wife and I noticed that a bunch of refunds came through to our bank account. And wouldn't you know it, all those PS1 games that I ordered, they just sent refunds. I didn't get any messages about it on eBay. Nothing showed up in my PayPal account. They just sent the refunds with no messages. I was thoroughly brokenhearted because I looked of all those games. There's really only like a few that I really, really wanted, and I ended up looking them up, and it was like, we're talking about a pachinko game that I got for $1, and then I looked it up again, and then it was $8. Not prohibitively expensive, but it's like, come on, man, it was $1. So, you know, what are you going to do? How are we doing now? Give me a second here. I've minimized Audacity, so now I can't see how it's recording. Are we still in good shape? Are we still in good shape?
Depends.
Yep. I'm not in Depends just yet. I can still use the bathroom normally. All right, we have one more track that we're going to do, and then we'll do the fail bag. So now we're going to crank up the difficulty just a little bit. I feel like this one's easier than last week. Last week, our final track was from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I don't know if anybody in our listener base played Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the Game Boy, but I feel like that was a cheap shot that nobody could get. This one I feel like is a little bit more in the realm of reality. Awesome, awesome game. Awesome, awesome track. Stick with us. We'll figure out what it is afterwards. So of course, if you're not familiar, that's Final Fantasy Legend 3, the opening track for the Game Boy, and what an awesome game Final Fantasy Legend 3 is. I know there's some issues with the, I don't want to say issues, but it's one of those things where like the Final Fantasy Legend games on the Game Boy was actually like another series or something like Saga Frontier, I don't know, something like that. I know it has weird origins, but this goes back to my older brother. When we were kids, I had a Tiger Electronic game called Run and Jump, and it wasn't even a Tiger Electronic game that's like full size, like you see when you look up the old Tiger Electronic games. It was like a half-size Tiger Electronic game. It was name brand, but it was a weird half-size game. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look it up now. And around the time I got Run and Jump, the Tiger Electronic game, my older brother got a Game Boy. He got a Game Boy, and this happened when I was getting ready to start 3rd grade. So this would have been 1992, late 1992. Yeah, and he got a Game Boy, and I would look at Run and Jump, the Tiger Electronic game, and then I would look at his Game Boy, the things it could do, and it just blew me out of the water. And there were a few choice games. My older brother had a lot of games. He amassed a pretty decent collection, which in retrospect, it's kind of funny. This will date it for you. He kept his games in a fanny pack. Hey, Junior, do you know what a fanny pack is?
I think.
It's like do you remember when we were in Disney World and I had I had the pack
remember.
right here?
And if you wear it under your shirt, it makes you look a little fat.
There was a time when those were like, it was like cool to have one of those. You would just like wear them to school, and then you could like put your toys in it or something.
Are you crazy?
No, this was the early 90s. This was when the Game Boy was out. There was no cell phones. I mean, they existed, but people didn't have them for the most part. You know, I once said on the air I was going to get you a bucket of Tiger Electronic games. How does that sound? I can't handle the silence. We can't do the silence.
Guess what?
What's up?
If you could see me, then you'd see a thumbs down.
Love it.
I don't want Tiger Electronic.
I can't believe you're saying this, kiddo. Have you ever played a Tiger Electronic game? I know you have, but you probably don't remember.
No, but I've heard they probably aren't very good.
They're not. There's nothing wrong with a Tiger Electronic game. There isn't. You should try it. Do you remember Mommy's Tetris game that she used to have?
Yes.
The little dedicated Tetris machine? That's kind of like a Tiger Electronic game.
Is it?
It's not from the Tiger Electronic brand, but that's sort of the way they were.
Okay. It depends on what games they actually are.
Let's see if I can get up a picture of Run and Jump. Tiger Electronic Run and Jump. I loved this game when I was a kid, man. And then my brother got a Game Boy, and it was like, what do you do with that, man? That's for babies. That's my impression of my older brother, by the way. He's at an institution now. All right, let's see. Here's a picture of it, but it's not good. The picture is not good. Jump and Run, that's why, because it wasn't called Run and Jump. It was called Jump and Run. Jump and Run. I'm dedicated to finding a... What is it? Jump and Run? No, it was Run and Jump. They put it backwards. Hold on a second. I've got to find a picture of this. Run and Jump. Because I haven't really thought about Run and Jump in like
70 years.
I was going to say 20 or 25 years. It's been a long time. I remember Tiger Electronic games fondly, but this is not one of the games I think of when I think back on Tiger Electronic games being awesome. There it is right there, kiddo. That was the game I had. See how these are like bigger? They're kind of more square-shaped, but mine was like football-shaped. When I think back on Tiger Electronic games, I usually think back on Tiger Electronic Pinball. That was my favorite. In 1988, when I was 4 years old, my older sister got Tiger Electronic Pinball for one of my older brothers. And I remember just being... I was 4, so my memories are spotty. But I remember my eyes were just like dinner plates. I was like, oh, the computer magic. When you were 4 years old, you tried to play DJ with my Sega Saturn. You popped the lid and you had a CD in the tray. I guess you weren't 4 yet. You were probably like 2. And you would like turn it like this, like pretending like you were a DJ. Do you remember that?
Nope.
I do. I had it. That Sega Saturn I had at the time used to scrape, so it's not like I wasn't really worried about it because it was already broken. You okay?
That's me trying to make a scraping impression.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet it's not good.
I have video somewhere of what it sounded like because I made a video. I think it might be marked as private or something, but I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. So that was the old right. So that was my Tiger Electronic game, and one of the games my brother had while I was playing that Tiger Electronic game was a Final Fantasy Legends 3 on the Game Boy. So I remember that very well. And I remember, because I was young, early on in the game, there's a spot where there's like a battle simulator, right? So you're walking around town, and it's like your traditional Final Fantasy type of town. You know, there's a town, and there's an inn, there's a safety, and you go outside, there's random encounters. But in the town, there was one spot where it was like a battle simulator, and you could walk up to it, and you would hit a button, and then you could fight enemies and get golden experience and stuff. I'm not sure why, but that whole concept of a battle simulator captured my imagination in a big way. So I remember when I would finagle my brother into allowing me to play Game Boy, or if I just ended up with it, you know, without him knowing, which I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was an awful little brother. I remember just going to the battle simulator and then just pressing the button over and over and over again. Just doing the battles one after another after another. So that track, be it good, be it bad, whatever you think of the chiptune itself, it's one of these things where it's like having that game early on, it left an impression, and the music, as they say, opens the door to the past in a big way, and such is the case with that particular track. So if you've never played Final Fantasy Legends 3 on the original Game Boy, if you like original Game Boy games, because I know not everyone does, it is one of the very good ones. It is a stand-up JRPG that holds up to this day. Has all of the tropes of a JRPG. I mean, you better like random encounters, but the story is great. The game has a good flow to it. There's real challenge. It's a good game. Go back and play it right now. All right, how we doing? 37 minutes in. I'm going to fill my teacup, and we'll do the fail bag. That's right, scary movies. I wanted to talk a little about scary movies. And don't worry, kiddo, I'm not going to get too graphic. Talk about heads exploding or any of that kind of stuff. But as I mentioned, I've been watching a lot of scary movies lately. When I was your age, my older brother was watching a scary movie. It's one of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Do you remember Freddy Krueger? Had the big claws in his hand?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was one of those, but it was like on television, which is weird. Like live TV, you know, like when we would watch sports, how you can't really pause it because it's live.
Uh-huh.
It was like that. Like they were playing it on live TV, which is weird because live TV, they're not allowed to show a lot of stuff. Like if you watch like an R-rated movie or a scary movie, sometimes there can be like lots of like scary stuff, like monsters and all kinds of stuff in there. But when they show it on television, they have to edit it down. It can't be, you know, as gruesome. Or it's on TV, an edited for TV version, when I was about your age. And I didn't watch the whole thing because I didn't have the stomach for it. But I remembered a lot of the movie, and I wanted to see it again as an adult. All right. Excuse me. I had to cut the audio for a minute. I looked over at the levels, and I could see we were peaking really, really, really hard. So I hope that takes care of some of the issues. Let's see if that sounds any better. Yeah, I think we're in good shape. I was talking about Freddy Krueger, seeing it as a kid, and how it kind of like messed me up, to be honest. Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. That was the name of the movie. People don't really seem to like it. People who enjoy scary movies say it's a bad one. But I had a good time with it, mostly because... are you familiar with the Mandela Effect? Kiddo, have you ever heard anybody say that? You're probably too young for that one. Mandela Effect?
No.
Okay, so here's the idea. Think of a game that you played that you liked that you haven't played in a long time. Can you think of any game like that?
Yeah.
What would a game like that be?
Probably something like, well, the thing that I remember playing the longest ago that I do remember playing would have to be Geometry Dash. Geometry Dash.
Okay, so if you never played Geometry Dash, it's one of these like rage games. It was big on phones for a while. This little square, it kind of auto runs, and then you press the button to make a jump, and then it jumps in time with like a rhythm to like the track, and yeah, it's a fun little game. I used to have it on my phone. You used to play it quite a lot, right? We have it on Steam as well. Geometry Dash. It's a good game. Now imagine, try and picture Geometry Dash in your head right now.
Okay.
Now imagine if you went back and played it now, after not having played it for a while, and what you saw playing it now was completely different from the picture you had in your head. That's the Mandela Effect. It's when you remember something not like it actually is. Okay? So you'll see it more when you get older. It happens more, I think, with shows and stuff. So I saw this movie, regardless of what the movie is, when I was a kid, and there were certain scenes in it. I mean, being a scary movie, you know, the scary parts are really like the showpieces that I remembered, and I got to see them again. The full non-edited for television version, which is another thing, because back in those days, movies would have like weird, bizarre edits that didn't make any sense. So if you saw it on TV, it might not be the same version as like the VHS tape, which also might not be the same version that actually played in theaters. But, you know, is what it is. Right. And then I saw that, and I also saw John Carpenter's The Thing, which I absolutely loved. I saw that because it was considered, people had told me it was the gold standard when it comes to practical effects. When people are complaining about CGI and how CGI looks awful, they usually point to John Carpenter's The Thing, when it's like, why can't movies look like this anymore? So I was like, this is going to be great. And I watched it, and holy goodness, it was, gross. It was gross.
What?
The movie that I was talking about. You good? You look like you're going to say something, but nothing came. You can say something if you want.
Hi.
All right, I guess we can work with that. I gotta say, I have a page of Tiger Electronic Games open. Earlier, when I was talking about them, I brought up Google, and I did the Google image search for Tiger Electronic Pinball, and I'm looking at like a sheet of different Tiger Electronic Pinball games. There's a couple of different ones, apparently. I didn't know that. And I want one again. This blue one here, that was the one. My sister got it for one of my brothers in 1988, and I got my own copy much later on when your uncle got the Game Boy. I want to have it again. I want it, kiddo. I've got a bunch of these types of games, but I don't have that one. You know what I did have, though? What was it called? Tiger Electronic Sticks? Was that what it was? Yeah, this right here. This was actually a video game, but it kind of looked like a pen. And there was a little screen right there. Cobbler Sticks. I'm pretty sure I had one of these. So I'm looking at this game that I had, like a Tiger Electronic type of game. I don't think it was actually Tiger Electronic brand. Ooh, what's happening with the levels? Are we peaking? Hold on.
Peak.
All right. Yeah, so I had this, not just when I was a kid, but I'm pretty sure I bought it off of eBay. And I was like, yeah, I want to get this again. I want to recapture my childhood. I have no idea what happened to it. I'm willing to bet when you were a wee lad, like 2, or maybe 3, I think you might have gotten a hold of it. And it might have ended up in a garbage can somewhere. Probably ended up in a toy basket, and then in a donate bag, and that was that. I miss my Cobbler Sticks. It was a Tiger Electronic video game, and it was not a good game. It was not good.
I see a Tiger Electronic game that literally seems to be for Home Alone.
Yeah, it was what they call a licensed game, right? So they would do things like that to promote the movie. Hey, you like Home Alone? Buy the video game. Hey, it's just like the movie, and just like you're there. Hey, yo.
And then if you buy it, you're like, okay, this is nothing like the movie.
That's actually, yes, that was usually the next step. So my hat is off to Tiger Electronic Games. As much as I know it's something that we've talked about on air many times, it's kind of like a meme now. Well, yeah, I remember Tiger Electronic Games. You know, I actually remember Tiger Electronic Games. So there. All right, we're 45 minutes in. My goodness. Let's jump back to the fail bag. Failbag, everybody. Questions, answers. Let me know what you got. Head over to YouTube, leave a comment on whatever you find there. If you know me personally, you can send me an email, and that works just fine. Just be very clear about what I can and cannot read on the air, because I don't want to be like, hey, okay, this is this person's home address. No, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to read anybody's home address, but I don't want to run into any problems where it's like, hey, I didn't want you to say this on the air. No, just be clear, okay? All right, so this one's from Hemrock, good buddy Hemrock, who has a very nice email. So let's read it. He says, greetings and salutations, Critical Failure. Thank you, as usual, for another great episode. Yeah, man, you're welcome. Your talk about seeing shapes after long sessions of Tetris attacks and Pokemon Puzzle League reminded me of my girlfriend back in college. At the time, I sold my Super Nintendo and my NES, and I purchased an FC Twin to save on space, since I like an oversized closet. Oh, wow. Hold on. I think I read that wrong. Hold on a second. No. I think you meant to say I lived in like an oversized closet, but that's actually, I purchased an FC Twin to save space since I like in an oversized. I lived in an oversized closet. He lived in a very small kind of apartment, which is the point. Okay, great. Got it. We're up to speed now. I had Dr. Mario for the NES, and somehow I convinced her to play it. She was by no means a gamer, but she became obsessed with Dr. Mario. It's the puzzle games, man. I even loaned her my FC Twin, and she told me that she would play Dr. Mario so much in her dorm room that when she closed her eyes, she could still see the multicolored pills raining down over her eyelids. Crazy stuff, man. Yeah, I remember that with Tetris Attack. It's not just, I mean, there were a couple of games that way. Tetris Attack was one. Saints Row 2 was another one. Saints Row 2, when I first had that, there was at least one night where I played it on my Xbox 360 deep into the night, and I could see it under my eyelids. Another game that we had that happen with was Killing Floor. When I was in that Killing Floor clan with Sean and Retro Kaiser and a buddy of mine who was in the Air Force, we used to play Killing Floor a few times a week, deep late into the night. I could see that. I could see doing the reloading and backing up into corners and stuff. I could see it all under my eyelids, plain as day, when I tried to sleep. But let's get back to the email. You spoke about custom soundtracks in regards to Saints Row. Did you know that the original Xbox had certain games where a custom soundtrack could be used? The downfall, however, was that there was no music management to my knowledge, meaning that you had to choose an album based on the CD that you ripped to your hard drive. You couldn't make a simple playlist on your Xbox. I found a way around this by making a mix CD on my PC and then burning it to a CDR. It took a few tries, but eventually the Xbox ripped it and I could select it as a single album. Nothing like listening to Goldfinger whilst playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. Nice mix. Yeah, I do remember that. I played with it a little bit, but here's the thing. My Xbox was modded so that it had a bigger hard drive. Okay, I had a great big hard drive. So I was able to do that a little bit more. The only game I remember ever taking advantage of it with was Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, Extreme Beach Volleyball, the very first one. That was a game that had like in-game it had like a playlist maker. So I remember most of the music that was on there was like awful pop music. It was like awful pop music, and then there was like a Real Big Fish song, which is Real Big Fish was awesome, and stuck in the middle. Very weird mix. So I threw in some of my own stuff, and I would play Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball to the sounds of like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones or something. So those were good times. But that was the only game I ever did it with. Let's get back to the email. I really appreciated all the Game Boy monologues of the last episode. I was actually about to pick up some Game Boy games over the past few days. I got Quicks for a few bucks. Okay, quick break. How do you pronounce that? Is it Kicks or Quicks? It's Q-I-X. There's no U. You need the U to make the Qu sound, right?
Yeah.
So Q-A-T is cat. It's not cat like meow the animal, but that's what Q-A-T spells.
Meow.
How would you pronounce that word?
Kicks.
Kicks?
Like this.
So he says it's a fun little puzzle game that was ported to a myriad of systems in the 80s and early 90s. Interestingly, it appears to play in full color on my Game Boy Color. Usually these original Game Boy games just had a few extra colors here and there, but don't actually look like true Game Boy Color game. For some reason, this one does. Speaking of Game Boy Color games, I picked up Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest for the Game Boy Color for only $1. It's actually pretty fun for the 10 minutes I played of it. Lastly, I splurged and spent $10 on a copy of Mario Golf. I've heard good things. Unfortunately, I haven't had much time to play as work and real life are taking up the vast majority of my waking hours. I'm hoping to dive into Final Fantasy Legends 2 in the near future. Final Fantasy Legends, man. I never played Legends 2, but if it's anything like Legends 3, it's got to be good. What are the last Game Boy games that you have played and the most recent ones that you have purchased? Oh, wow. Okay, so it's tough to say because the last Game Boy games that I purchased was like a rush of buying Japanese games. Japanese games that not like Japanese versions of games we know, because that's awesome. Go get yourself a Japanese copy of Solar Striker, a Japanese copy of Link's Awakening, or a Japanese copy of Mario Land. Those are awesome because they're virtually the same games, and the cover art on the Japanese games is beautiful. So much better than we got in the United States. My goodness. Especially for Solar Striker and Link to the Past. Those games are awesome. But those weren't what I was buying. I was buying pachinko games. Ugh. So, that is what it is. I'm thinking back to the last actual game that I bought. Maybe it was Game & Watch Gallery 3, which I have here, but I honestly don't remember. I used to pick up a Game Boy game every year at MagFest, but I think it's been a year or two since I've done that. I have a slot machine game that I play most of the time on the Game Boy, but it's honestly been a couple days. You talked about Quicks or Kicks, as we're discussing. I remember seeing that game everywhere when I was a kid. I remember seeing it at the pawn shops and stuff. You can jump in if you want.
Hello.
But I never actually played it. So yeah, I'm glad you picked it up. Let me know if it's any good. I want to get more Game Boy games now. You got me back into the Game Boy, and I can't afford to be back into something else. Let's see. Back to the email. He says, in regards to the Total War series, Shogun Total War was the first one released. I thought it was Medieval War, but looking it up, I was wrong. It's funny. I thought the same thing for a long time. You should be happy to know that I recently purchased a soldering kit from Amazon. I wanted to expand my ability to fix consoles and install new batteries in the old tapes. To practice my skills, I got one of those cheap heart-shaped LED kits, and I was able to put it together. I'm having fun with it. I plan on changing out some Game Boy game batteries and installing a new battery in my Dreamcast. I may even perform an NES controller LED mod. Super cool, man. Good for you. Good for you. I like the DIY kits. That's what I like. If you want something fun to do, to hone your skills, get on the Amazons or the eBays and look up something called the Atari Punk console. That is, it's a noisemaker. It's not a video game, but it's a noisemaker, sort of chippy sound kind of toy that's made with very inexpensive parts. And it's based off of the Atari sound chip, at least in name. That's originally the circuit. That's what it was based off of. So yeah, most people who are getting into early hobbyist electrical engineering make them from scratch, out of parts, because the schematic is very simple. But you can get a kit. I think for $20. I guess it's a little expensive. But that'll get you a kit that you can stick a battery in, and then you can get a couple of knobs, and you can make your own original chiptunes. Oh man! But those are super cool. I highly recommend an Atari Punk console to anybody who's just getting into hobbyist soldering, and it'll serve you well. Good for you. Let's get back to the email. He says, I do have Solar Striker for the Game Boy. Yes. That is a great gem with a rocking soundtrack. Actually, I believe you played it on TCR. Played it years ago on an old TCR. Yes, I did. And I went looking for that track to play it again on this episode, and I couldn't find it. So maybe in a future episode. But Solar Striker, man, what a game. It's not one of these games like R-Type that's on every system either. It's just Solar Striker. It's just on the Game Boy. It's just that one. There's not a bunch of them. That's it. Thank you for the Bill and Ted recommendation. That's on my radar now. You mentioned Hyankyo Alien. I actually first heard of that game on the old Nintendo podcast. It's pronounced Hankyo Alien. I'm not sure if that's right or not. Sounds like a decent title. Did you get the chance to listen to Jim Gaffigan Waffle House bit? No, I didn't. I forgot, but I should have, because Jim Gaffigan is awesome. So Heroes of Might and Magic for the Game Boy is on my list. I'm specifically looking for the second one. Have you played it? If so, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the first one? There's been some talk of game mods as of late. Since I'm on a Game Boy kick, did you know that there are some ROM hacks that turn Super Mario Land and Super Mario Land 2 into full Game Boy Color revisions? They look amazing. What are your top five? My top 5 Game Boy Color games. Games.
Games.
Okay, so let's back up step. Might and Magic. Heroes of Might and Magic. I don't think I played the second one. I played the first one. And just to make sure we're clear, it was a Game Boy Color title, right? So if you're looking at a gray card, it's not the game I played. I thought it was neat. I played it. I sat down with it twice. And I'm a PC guy, so I had a difficult time with that one. It was playable. It was one of those things where the interface was a little wonky because they had to shrink it down to 4 buttons and a D-pad. But yeah, if you've ever played Heroes of Might and Magic, that's what it is. Okay, you wander around on a map, you have an army, and you use the army to get into grid-based battles with other people. It's a fun little game. Slow, because it's on the Game Boy. It's a slowed down version of an already slowed game, but I really enjoyed it. Don't get it thinking it's going to be the next Final Fantasy Tactics, okay? Because it's not. But it is fun. If you get a copy for like $5 or $10, you could get your 5+ hours out of it. I suppose. You it'd be like one of the Civilization games that's probably not your favorite. You could play a full game, but you'd probably only do it once or twice. And that's Heroes of Might and Magic on the Game Boy. What do you think, kiddo?
I think, yeah.
Now you don't even really like the original Game Boy, do you? I dug it out and got it for you. You couldn't like see the screen well enough. It wasn't your thing.
How far did you find it underground? You said you dug it out, huh?
Okay, you also asked for my top 5 Game Boy games. Before we go on to that, the ROM hacks. That sounds super cool. I haven't done much Game Boy ROM hacks, but I will say this. There are Game Boy ROMs floating around of the original 3 Zork games for the Game Boy. Zork, the text adventure. And it works by individually selecting the letters one at a time to spell out the commands in the parser, which is as awful as it sounds. Now, there is a cut and paste tool, so you can cut and paste words off of the screen to try and make it better. But I just think it's amazing that they put the Zork trilogy on the original Game Boy. I have looked for reproduction carts of those original Zork games. I have never found them. So that's just a little something out there. A little something for you. Were you trying to get my attention?
Nope.
Okay, good. Top 5 Game Boy games. Let's pause and come up with a list here. All right, here we go. So I got is this top 5? Wow, that's 4. That's 4 games on my top 5. Let's adjust this. Pull that out. That's on the top 5 in no particular order. Stick with me. Top 5 games on the Game Boy, including Game Boy Color. These are games that I have played. So, there's probably... I know that there's all-time classics for the Game Boy that I never got around to playing. But here we go. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Absolute favorite game on the Game Boy. Loved it. I sat awake for hours watching my older brother play, just trying to catch a glimpse of the screen, listening to the songs. It's an amazing game, and still to date my favorite Zelda game of all time. Number 2, Elevator Action. We talked about this last week. Elevator Action's a good game. Do you remember Elevator Action, kiddo? No, he doesn't.
I remember a little.
You actually would like it. You would like it. There's action, and you can ride elevators. Does that sound fun?
So there's basically action and seeing how fast you can break those elevators by overusing them. Sounds fun.
My favorite part of that was like when you were silent trying to think of something to say, your face was just filled with concern. It was like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with all this input. But elevator action is second on my list. Then we come to, these are in no particular order. Then we come to Mario Land 2, which was 6 golden coins, right? That was another one that my older brother got right out of the gate. It was 6 golden coins. It might have even been the first Game Boy game that he ever got. Then Final Fantasy Legends 3. We talked about that earlier. Another one of those games. And then finally Kirby's Dream Land. Look, Kirby's Dream Land and Kirby's Dream Land 2 as well, but more the first one just for nostalgia's sake. One of the best Game Boy games. Come on now. What's up?
I wish if you ran out of time in Kirby's Dream Land, Kirby would wake up.
It's pretty funny. That's the way Mario 2 was on the NES. When you finally beat it, Mario just wakes up and the whole thing's a dream. Spoiler alert, by the way.
Well, I think they should make it so that there's a timer set, so that you can't be like, how do I do this? You have to actually know what you're doing.
I think it should be like Nightmare on Elm Street, where if you lose and you get game over, Mario dies in his sleep.
What?
All right, so that's my top 5 in no particular order. Honorable mentions to the original Mario Land. I didn't include it because I included the second one. Honorable mention to Pokemon, because come on, it's Pokemon. Honorable mention to Bo Jackson's Football and Baseball, because I remember loving Bo Jackson's Baseball. I used to set it to play 3-inning games, because how are you going to sit there and play 9 innings of video game baseball? There was only a couple of games I could do that in, but I loved the games that let you choose the innings. And Bo Jackson's Football and Baseball was one of them. That's just a quick list. When you start talking about Game Boy, the actual Game Boy games that I play are nothing you would like. I like a slot machine game called Pachi Pachi something. Pachi Pachi is like a Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound the slots make when they go. So Pachi Pachi something, a slot machine game, super simple. I like Chess Master for the Game Boy, and I like Pachio-kun 2, which is Pachio-kun is a pachinko game where you play as you play as a pachinko ball with eyes and nose and arms and legs. Yeah, so that's my real like top 3 that gets played. I also didn't mention Tetris. Tetris is an awesome game for the original Game Boy. But the thing about Tetris is it has to be that original Gray Kart game. I am not interested in Tetris DX. Not at all. I want the original one. I want the one that was like the pack-in game. You know, bum ba-na-na, ba-na-na, ba-na-na. Come on now. That's the game that made it so that was the Tetris song and not like the traditional Russian song. People don't say, oh, that's like the Russian folk song, right? No, they say that's the Tetris song. And it's because of the Gray Kart Game Boy game. That's the one that I want. I never cared about Tetris DX. You know, if you actually do manage to get that together and play that on a link cable, it has Mario and Luigi in it. It really does. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, but really badly drawn renditions of Mario and Luigi, mediating the 1 and 2 player games. That's the original Game Boy, man. Hemrock, brother, hope you're doing well. Take a break, man. Play some Game Boy for me, buddy. All right? I hope your family's doing good. I hope everybody's staying safe. Order yourself a copy of or Alien. Order that. Order another copy of Quicks. Quicks.
Kixie's good.
Order another copy of Solar Striker. I can say that one.
Kick 66666 whatever.
Yeah, order 666 copies of Solar Striker. Okay, that is the email from Hemrock. Since I posted the last episode so late, I don't think we have anything in YouTube, but I'm going to pop in and check just to be sure. I stand corrected. We've got 3. We've got Alex Swingle, and we've got Eric Kentroller, and we've got Mecha Menace. My boys have saved the day. Alright. Alex Swingle writes, at 22 minutes, don't be a dummy. It's just an overseas package having trouble since they aren't being screened more. You won't have any shipping problems if you buy them from within the within the U.S. I know, dude. I know. It really hurt me when those refunds came in for those games. I'm glad they got refunded because at least like I got the money back, so I can't really be too angry because it's whatever. It's not like I got ripped off. It was a business deal that didn't work out. But I'm gonna buy the games again. I'm not gonna be hey, you had a bad experience on eBay, so I don't like to buy games anymore. No. Come on. There's no other way to get the Pachio-kun series for the Game Boy. I want to get the Pachinko controller for the Sega Saturn that actually has that dial that the Pachinko machines have. Oh yeah, I want to turn the dial, man, and I want that to be what causes the balls to go boom, 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 boom. And there's no other way to get that stuff, so I'm gonna do it at some point. Did you know that there's a series of games for the PlayStation 1 called the Super Light 1500 games? I want those. I don't know why, because they don't look good at all. Just something about them has captured my imagination. They're super light, 1500. The covers are just white. There's nothing on the cover. It's just white, and it says what it is, and there's like a tiny picture in the middle. So there's like a super light 1500 Tetris, and it has like a little black and white picture of a Tetris board, but small in the center. Well, one of the games that I ordered that got refunded was the Super Light 1500 Pachi Simulator. Just the slot machine. It's not a video game. You just put it in. There's the slot machine. It's the kind of thing where you'd get like the Super Light Sudoku. That's if you wanted Sudoku in the PlayStation 1. That exists. It's a Super Light 1500 game. Good luck reading it because it's in Japanese, but you get the picture. So the point is, you're right. I'm going to order stuff again. It's fine. It's probably not even dealing overseas. It's just this company was really big. So they're probably having inventory issues or whatever. No big deal. It's just whatever. But it's good to hear from you. I'll have to do more dumb things and say more terrible, unsmart comments so that you'll be able to check in and correct me. Appreciate it. I hope you're feeling okay, man. Eric Controller.
Excuse me.
Oh, what's up?
Sometimes I feel like you already say a lot of dumb things. I will bite you.
I don't know about that. What's your favorite video game, kiddo?
Terraria.
I like it that you had that. This is something about being a kid that I kind of miss. You had that locked and loaded. That was bar none your favorite game. Now it's like, you guys out there, just think it as an exercise in your head. What is your favorite game of all time? Did you have to think about it for a minute? Do you have a range? Is it like, I got a list of like 3 games that are like jockeying for position? No, he had one game. For me, for a long time, it was a 2-way tie between Wizardry 5 with the Super Nintendo and River City Ransom.
I get it. Mine is Terraria, and you can stop talking now. I get it.
What do you stop talking? That's hurtful. It's hurtful.
Not as hurtful as my pinches, I'm willing to bet.
I will move on. Are we happy now?
Not really.
Okay. Eric Controller writes, Mario Land has got to be one of the best games I've ever played. Whoa, high praise for Mario Land from Eric Controller. It was the only video game that both me and my grandmother really enjoyed. When I went to my grandma and grandpa's house, I'd play it. I loved it so much. Every time I went there, it became a part of the experience of going to my grandparents' house. Never beat it though until 2015, the last time I ever went to their house. The next year my grandpa died, and the house got sold. The Game Boy and Mario Land vanished after that. The game will always be a part of a special time in my younger days that I will cherish forever. Amen to that, Eric. For sure. That's Grandma and Grandpa. You know what? And by the way, I have my cup of tea here, my cup of Trader Joe's English breakfast tea that I'm drinking at 9:15 at night. I have raised my cup to you, man. Good on you that you get to remember that much of your grandma and grandpa, because all of my grandparents, save for one, my grandma, died before I was born, and she passed on when I was 4 years old. So I really only remember playing Chutes and Ladders with her one time, and that's about it. So the point I'm trying to make is, as they say, and this is a little bit difficult to apply to human life, but when we think of grandparents, don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened. You got to know your grandparents, and that is an awesome gift. That's a gift that I did not get, okay? My grandparents were gone already by the time I came around. I was the youngest of 5 kids, so they wanted to be around, they just got old. My grandma was like almost 90 when she passed, so she stuck around as long as she could. She was just like, hey man, I can't wait any longer, I gotta get out of here. So good on you that you have that, and you know what? Play an extra round of Mario Land for me. If I had a copy of Mario Land legit around, I'd put it in the mail and send it to you. I don't, but it's a good game, and a memory like that is gonna make it stick in the Hall of Fame, I'm sure, for you. I'm glad that game, the game that you associate to family, is one that's worth remembering, and it's not like, oh, we used to play Snake, Rattle, and Roll on the NES. It was great. We used to play Classic Concentration on MS-DOS. It was amazing.
How about Modern Concentration?
We used to play Modern Warfare 2 with my grandma. It was amazing.
How about you concentrate on being normal?
I can't. Good for you, Eric. Thanks for sharing, man. Hope your life is good, brother. Hope everything's going well. Hope you're staying safe. And that's all I got. Let's see. We got one from Mecha Menace. Woo, Mecha Menace, saving the day. Check this out. Look at this. Jumbo show now, thanks to Mecha Menace. Give me a second, I gotta take a sip of tea before we tackle this one. It is after 9 o'clock, young man. You should not be making those noises.
Oh, you're going to pay for that.
Oh dear. Here he comes. No. Alright. Mecha Menace says, Game Boy has 4 colors, not 2. And boy, did they make some amazing looking games with those 4 shades. It's amazing how well NES to GB ports look, given that it could display a lot more colors. Oh boy, hold on a second. The little paper part of the tea bag went in the tea, so I had to fish it out, and that's kind of gross. Alright, let's get back to the comment. Similarly, the Game Boy uses 4 audio channels. There are talented composers on that system. Oh yeah, man. For sure. By the way, on a scale of 1 to 10, how evil is YouTube's auto-suggestion system for comments? Okay, it's not evil, but it's short-sighted. This is what all of those movies and books warn about. Losing humanity due to a reliance on technology to make life easier. And you and I can ignore it, but it enters the status quo as something people expect. I wish people could just think on their own. The robots are telling us how to react. Eventually there will be an OK button that gives permission for the robots to act without our acknowledgement of each transaction. But when they think we need speak for us and eventually be us, they will replace us. Woo. Dark times in the Mecha Menace comments. But he goes on. The Game Boy is a box of joy. You hear that, kiddo? It's a box of joy. Don't hit me. I'm surprised the Japanese games didn't. The Japanese didn't name it Game Joy. I think the Americans.
Because if they named it Game Joy, people would probably make fun of it.
The American side would have been like, hold on there. I see lots of unregulated game goods from China with such marketing on their boxes. You know, that was Gunpei Yokoi, right? The Game Boy, wasn't that his baby? So I would imagine Game Boy. It probably is more like the Japanese name, right? What was the Japanese name for the Game Boy? You know how like the Nintendo is the Famicom in Japan? What did they call the Game Boy? Was it just called Game Boy over there? It occurs to me now, like really for the first time, that I don't know what it's called. But anyway, let's go on. I could make a GBW list a mile long. What does GBW stand for? Game Boy what?
Game Boy Want.
Game Boy Want? The W stands for what? Want. Oh, okay, got it. Hold on a second. Good can be done soon if want. Hold on a second, let me pause the recording. Wait. I could make a GBW list a mile long. I've recently started seeing merit in the GBC. That's Game Boy Color. So I have to think this is Game Boy Black and White. That's Game Boy Color. Though to be honest, for a time, its selection eluded me. I just couldn't see its value. So how about I alternate GBW and GBC for a 5-game list? These are not my top 5, just 5. Good on you. That sounds awesome, Mecha Menace. Let's see what you got, brother. Kirby Block Ball for GBW. It's multi-tiered stage breakout with Kirby powers and bosses. What more can be said? That sounds really good. Blade for Game Boy Color. It's a multi-mode game experience. I never saw the movie, but the game is enjoyable despite this. Okay. Excuse me, sorry. The GBW Bubble Bobbles. Either version is great. People like to ding Part 2 because of the playfield scrolls rather than being able to see the entire screen, but I love it. I think the graphics are great, and it has everything its big brother has except the minigames. I never played Bubble Bobble in the Game Boy Mecha Menace, but I do have Bust a Move, which has the Bubble Bobble characters. At least Bub and Bob make appearances, but that's it. I've Bust a Move on the Game Boy. Also a good game. Pokemon Pinball for Game Boy Color. Wow, excellent choices. I don't play Pokemon, and I haven't for years, but this goal-oriented pinball game, this is a goal-oriented pinball game with the save feature on the Game Boy, makes returning to the world of Pokemon less of a chore. Okay, let's stop there for a second. This one intrigues me the most, because wasn't there a Game Boy game? There were a couple of Game Boy Color games that had like these huge, distended, mutated cartridges, right? And wasn't that one of them? Or maybe I'm thinking of Kirby's Pinball, where the ball actually was Kirby, or something, and you could like shake the Game Boy and make it work somehow. I know that there was a weird version of Vigilante 8 that had a bloated, distended cart like that as well, but I don't know what it was supposed to do. Maybe it just rumbled. What's up? You want to chime in? You can.
Not really.
Okay, that's cool. And hang on 1 second. So you're good finishing tonight? How is it going? Hold on 1 second. Let's pause this. Yep, there it goes again. All right, Junior has gone to bed, so I'm here to wrap the show. Let's excuse me. Let's go back to the comment from Mecha Menace. He writes, "And Balloon Fight Game Boy. This is one sheet. It's an enhanced Game Boy Color port of Balloon Kid. I made a video about it, and we're gonna pop that open, and we will pin that. Let's check this video out that he made. What do we got here? Pick up and play Balloon Fight. 2000.
Welcome to another Pick
Look
Up
at
and
that.
Play. This time I'm playing a remake of a Japan unreleased sequel to
Pretty fancy. Let's mute that real quick, and we have that marked. I will watch that this evening. Pretty sweet looking. I do so enjoy the Japanese Game Boy stuff. I think I've seen pictures of this, but I've never actually played the game. Looks good though, man. Balloon Kid was a good game. There was a freeware game back when I was doing freeware stuff that was called like Balloon, I think it was like Balloon Tournament 2002 or Balloon Tournament or something like that. It was supposed to be like Unreal Tournament, but instead of a first-person shooter, it was basically like Balloon Fight for the NES. So it was like a 5 or 8 player Balloon Kid type brawl game. This is a freeware game. I'd have to look it up and see if it's still around. But I played it a couple of times back in the day. I would love to play it again. But let's get back to the list. He says, I really want to list more GBW than GBC and GBC, but I said 5. By the way, I recommended a chiptune. A recommended chiptune is the title screen for Mega Man 4 on GBW. It's very similar in tone to Mega Man 3 on the NES. Following up on last week's discussion, the noise to which I was referring to in the last TCR was a crackling noise, not your fan. You fixed the problem, so no need to worry. All the TMSS Genesis are Model 1, however, not all Model 1s are TMSS. It's easy to identify based on the label on the bottom. Huh, oh, interesting. Are they like weirdly expensive or something? I don't know. I never heard of that. That's really weird. Thank you for the heads up, though. It is nice to know that there's a chance that there was nothing wrong with that game. Because the dealer that I bought that from was like, one of the things they say is we test every game. and they sell like $200 choice title games. So I always had this idea that they sold me this copy of Populous for $2, and they said they test everything and it doesn't work. So why would I ever consider buying like a top tier game from these people if you could buy a game from them and have it not work? But now I know that that might not have been the case. It might just be that there was some weird stipulation I needed to know in order to make it work, and I just couldn't do it. So thank you for that. Mecha Menace, man, hope your life is going good, brother. Thanks for writing in. It's good to hear from you. Good Game Boy stuff here. Really good Game Boy stuff. You struck a nerve. You were able to dig up some titles that are worth checking out that I hadn't been thinking of, which is really cool. I'll have to check out, I think Kirby's Block Ball I'm the most interested in. Yeah, man, much appreciated. Alright, well, we made it an hour and 20 minutes in, my goodness. Thanks for hanging out and talking video games with me, guys. I am gonna go play my Game Boy. I have my Game Boy is downstairs with the boring games that I usually play, and up here on my desk has been Game & Watch Gallery 3 staring me in the face for like, this has got to be the 3rd week running, so I am gonna play some Game Boy tonight for sure. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys are staying safe. Hope you're in touch with your families. Hope you guys are taking care of yourself. And I will see you next week.